This question is with regards to number 2 of the Math 1 to 2 Unit 6, Assignment 6. It says draw a sketch of the bell-shaped curve with a labeled axis and state the formula associated with this curve. To label the axis in a general form, use the information in Unit 6 on page 1. So let's go to Unit 6, page 1 to see what is all about. Here it talks about the random variable must be continuous for a number distribution, and you have a probability density function. It talks about it. It says the area under the probability density curve gives a probability value. Relative probability density is given by the probability divided by group width. So you have a simple formula here. Relative probability density is equal to probability divided by group width. Therefore, the probability is given by the relative probability density multiplied by the group width. So if you want to solve for probability, you multiply the relative probability density by the group width. The group width would be actually the data values themselves, and you multiply this to the relative probability density, and this will give you probability. And when you multiply, it's like you're finding the area. Okay, length times width, if you want to put it that way. So hence the area under the probability density curve gives the probability. Now where's the probability density curve? It doesn't show it here, so there seems to be a slight miscommunication. Let's move down to page 2. Here, this is the histogram and the line graph. We have to continue moving. Here it talks about relative probability density, how it is calculated. Okay, we start with the data. In terms of intervals, you have frequency, then you have probability. Okay, as the frequency divided by the total frequency, then you have midpoint of each interval, and then you have relative probability density. Okay, and this brings us down to approximately normal distribution. Relative probability density is plotted against time, which is the data in that case, and you have a particular curve, and then we move down now to the bell-shaped curve, all right, the normal distribution curve, and you have relative probability density, and you have the group width below. So if you multiply those two variables, you should get the area under this curve, which will give us probability. Okay, so here's a simplified version of the curve that they're asking for. So that actually, this is actually on page 4. So you have to go to page 4. And here's the function that they are talking about. The formula associated with this curve is a very, complicated formula. It's missing the equal sign here. F of x is equal to 1 over the standard deviation multiplied by the square root of 2 times pi times xe raised up to the negative open bracket x minus mu population mean close bracket squared divided by 2 times the population standard deviation squared. And it talks about the notation for the number distribution. So it's on page 4 that you can get the curve and the function. And here it is important to remember that the area under the probability density curve gives the probability, okay, which is the probability density times the group width. Here, the data itself. So that should help to answer question number